Last week in therapy, my therapist called me out for watching the time. I don't ever want to go over even by a few seconds, so I'm usually the one to be like, okay, I see we're about done, I'm ready to wrap up. But this week, and not for the first time, he asked me, why is it that you always watch the time? Are you afraid that I'm going to interrupt you? I explained that no, that's not quite it. I'm watching the time out of fear. Fear that I'll be in the middle of talking when suddenly he'll be like, okay, that's time. We have to save it for next week. And it's not the interruption, it's the rejection that I'm avoiding. I am avoiding being rejected. And in the past couple weeks of my life, rejection has been a constant theme. I made a video on social media and some people very loudly unfollowed me while some stood and supported me. And either way, the rejection, it really stung. I applied for residency in Mexico, which I have had before, but this time they rejected me, even though I had all the same documents, but I digress. And by the way, we are in the middle of Mercury retrograde, so please tread lightly because these kinds of raw, painful moments are in abundance right now. But this nasty little hamburger of rejections has left me feeling raw and exhausted and anxious. I feel actual pain in my stomach, and when I try to think of other things, my mind always slips back to all of this fucking rejection. And so I started asking myself, like, why am I having such a big reaction to this? Could this be RSD? And that led me down a rabbit hole, which confirmed that absolutely this is RSD. So what is RSD? RSD stands for rejection sensitivity dysphoria, and I am by no means qualified to speak on this, so I'm going to hit you with a quote. This comes from the Cleveland Clinic. Rejection sensitivity dysphoria, or RSD, is when you experience severe emotional pain because of a failure or feeling rejected. This condition is linked to ADHD, and experts suspect it happens due to differences in brain structure. Those differences mean your brain cannot regulate rejection-related emotions and behaviors, making them much more intense. And I learned that this happened because the frontal lobe in people with ADHD and ADHD is less developed, leading to more emotional sensitivity and dysregulation more often. But it's not just emotional lows, there are also more emotional highs. So there is a silver lining. And then I read something that really shocked me. In every country besides the US, emotional dysregulation is one of the top 4 criteria that health professionals look for when diagnosing someone with ADHD. The US, by and large, disregards emotional dysregulation, in spite of the fact that pretty much everyone I know with ADHD or ADHD can relate to the frequent dysregulation. And that's not coincidental because this affects up to 95% of people with ADHD and ADHD. But seeing as how the US tends to feed on our collective dysregulation, I kind of get why they benefit from leaving us out on that one, but I digress. I learned that I'm ADHD in 2023, but before that, I self-diagnosed myself as 2. Too sensitive, too intense, too picky, too anxious, too loud, too quiet, too much. I tried to compensate for being inflicted with 2 by tiptoeing around people and people pleasing and being accommodating. And meanwhile, if you were to have asked me what my needs were, I couldn't tell you because